Now, despite what the title says, this is not a take 2. This is a take 6 for me and the Google Pixel Fold. However, take 2 sounds better. Yes, I have owned the Pixel Fold a mere 6 times in its almost 1 year lifespan. And even now, there are some elements of this device that make it the most premium foldable phone ever released, and there are some elements that still absolutely frustrate me. I'm the Average Dad, and this is 1 year later, a take 2 with the Google Pixel Fold. So in this video, I am going to talk through the good points, the bad points, and here's the hook, the retention grabber, the reason you're going to watch to the end of the video. The Google Pixel Fold is the best investment you could potentially ever make when it comes to a smartphone. There you go. You're intrigued, aren't you? Well, you're going to have to wait, because we're going to talk about the good points first. And the best place to start is the first thing you see on the device. It's this outer cover display. To this day, not one manufacturer has released a foldable phone with a better or more functional outer cover display. While the Honor Magic V2 and the OnePlus Open and the Vivo X Fold 3 have fantastic outer displays in an almost perfect ratio, the Google Pixel Fold, in my opinion, still remains the best. Purely because of the keyboard. This is a full Gboard keyboard, say that 10 times fast, with no drawbacks. You can have fat thumbs like me, 2-finger typing, just your standard width candy bar phone. Now, while it is a bit shorter and stubbier, let's not be heightist over here, it's the width that captures me every single time. Now, I've mentioned already, I've owned this phone 6 times, and every time when I see the outer screen, I get a nice warm fuzzy feeling. And moving on from the outer cover screen, there's obviously the inner, we'll talk about that soon, that doesn't feature in the good points section. But there's the actual feeling, the weight, the materials, the heft. To some people, this would be a drawback. The fact that this phone is 290 grams, making it one of the heaviest foldable phones out there, I'm okay with it, because the Gorilla Glass, the stainless steel used, just the overall build quality and design, I am absolutely fine with that weight. Now, you won't understand until you feel this phone, and that kind of goes with most foldable phones, to be honest. There is only so much you can get across in a YouTube video. You really have to feel it to believe it. Sounds like a Field of Dreams quote or something, but you do. And then there's the cameras. It's a Pixel device with the Pixel 7 Pro camera setup almost, but not really, lifted and shifted onto this device. You get your main and ultra wide, but you also get the 5x optical zoom lens. And while the sensors themselves aren't the most flagship, doesn't really matter when it comes to a Pixel. For years, the Google Pixel series has produced the best photos and blind camera comparisons, and that's due to Google's processing magic. And that comes with the Pixel Fold, along with all its AI smarts like Magic Eraser and Blur and sharpening photos, all the stuff you'd expect from a Pixel device. So the photos and videos it produces are up there with the best of them. Now, it is not the best. I've talked about this already. The X Fold 3 Pro, in my opinion, has the best foldable camera setup, but the Pixel Fold is not far behind, and it's absolutely perfect for those that just want a guaranteed social media snap that's going to look great straight out the box. And a full year later after its release, I can also say that one of the good points here is the software. Yes, there are elements of the software that could be improved and will be improved with the Pixel Fold 2, but this is a global ROM. Viewers of my channel know that I typically review phones from a Chinese market which come with a Chinese ROM. And while for my use case and for most of your use cases, that doesn't really have much of a difference other than Android Auto and smartwatch compatibility, there's not really too many other differences. However, when you are using the Pixel Fold like I have done many times, you are just kind of reminded that how nice it is to have Android Auto on deck all the time. How nice it is to have Wi-Fi calling when needed. And being able to connect any of my smartwatches, any of my Wear OS smartwatches with this seamlessly is also pretty handy, I can't lie. So that's the good points: the outer cover display, the software, the cameras, the overall build quality and feel in the hand. But you know me, I have to keep it real and talk about the bad points. And the first one is the first thing you're presented with when you unfold the device. The inner screen has, so many issues that it could take up the whole section here, but I'll try and be brief. The inner screen ratio is fantastic for multimedia consumption, in my opinion. Because it is more landscape, it absolutely works every time for consuming content. Where it doesn't really work is in multitasking. Splitting two apps side by side, they're too cropped. They're too squished. Unlike on other foldable phones, when you're going to a website, you get so much more content on those than you do on the Google Pixel Fold. And that goes for Microsoft Outlook, Microsoft Teams. I can see like 6 emails on the Pixel Fold and up to 9 emails on any other foldable phone. It's just a bit too squished, which again, for media consumption is fine, but for all other use cases, it's not the best. And that goes for apps. Apps are not fully supported on the Pixel Fold because most apps are for vertical scrolling. While the apps are now, and I should highlight this, when I first bought the Pixel Fold originally a year ago, no apps were optimized other than a few of Google's own apps like Gmail and Maps. But when it came to WhatsApp, Instagram, Facebook, all of those, you had to just deal with them being in the center of the screen. You could move them with a double tap to the left or right, but you couldn't make them full screen. However, through an update and with Android 14, all apps are now optimized and able to be put in full screen mode. But even in full screen mode, Instagram still looks a bit, there's a lot of dead space there, as you can see. And Facebook and banking apps everything's just a bit stretched. While it doesn't seem to impact the resolution, everything's just a bit more stretched and squished. And sticking with the inner screen, that crease is just not acceptable when you see phones like the OnePlus Open and the X Fold 3 and even the Magic V2. Their almost lack of any crease compounds how bad the crease is on the Pixel Fold. Now, in day-to-day life, you're not actually going to notice much, and it's not going to impact you when you're viewing content. But with the screen off, and you just catch sight of it, it does kind of look, well, like a last year or even 2-year-old foldable phone. And finally, the bezels. The bezels on that inner screen, yikes. It's due an update, and we all know, I've posted a video on this already, the Pixel Fold 2 will be out in hopefully just 2 months, and it will be a whole different ballgame in terms of form factor and inner screen bezels. Now, I really wish I could stop the negative points there, but the inner screen isn't even the worst aspect of this device. The worst aspect is charging. Charging speeds, battery size, battery optimization, heat dissipation relating to charging the device. There's so many issues that seem to stem from the Tensor G2 chip. Yes, the Google Pixel Fold was released a mere month, maybe 2 months before the Pixel 8 Pro, which came with the G3 chip, which seems to be much better and more efficient. So for the Pixel Fold, you're stuck with the G2 chip. Every time I put this phone on charge, it gets hot. And not just like lukewarm, I mean hot. And every time I get to the end of a day and I've used the phone quite a lot, I get anxious because this is not a 2-day phone. This is barely a 1-day phone. And that's not because this is a year old. The battery health on this is 100%. That is straight out the box. You will sometimes struggle to get a full day of battery from this device depending on your usage. Now, how that equates to screen on time, you can easily get 6 or 7 hours. But if you're someone that wants 8 or 9 hours, you're living on the edge. And yeah, don't come at me if you're looking for more than 9 hours. This ain't going to do it. So you've heard some of the main good points. You've heard some of the main bad points. I just want to summarize my experience and why I keep coming back to this device. I love it. It just feels so good in the hand. It just works. Everything just works first time. There's no workarounds. There's no issues. Yes, it gets hot when I charge it, but I don't keep it in my hand when I'm charging it. Yes, the battery life could be better, but I personally don't use the phone too much. I am too busy doing stuff for the channel, doing stuff for the Average Dad Tech Store, working on my real job. I'm too busy to be glued to this all day, every day. So battery life doesn't really impact on me personally. And as I mentioned, the main thing I use an inner screen for nowadays on a foldable phone is consuming content. And for me, even with that very, very noticeable crease, there is no better foldable phone to view content on than the Pixel Fold, in my opinion. And now I want to tell you why this might be one of the best investments you could make. So, for context, when the Pixel Fold was released last June, it was £1,750. Yes, a mere snip under £2,000. However, as the months have gone on, used prices have started to come down, considerably down. So much so that this 256GB mint condition Pixel Fold I managed to pick up for £475. Now folks, I could in this video tell you this is for sale and still charge £600, £700, maybe even £800 for it. But if you do your research, if you dig around, you can get one of these devices for under £700, sometimes under £600. And that is why it's a sound investment. Bear with me. Go to the Google website and look to buy a new phone. Then look at how much Google will give you for a trade-in of an older Pixel 7 Pro. Now consider this. When the Pixel Fold 2 comes out, how much do you think you're going to get for a trade-in for the original Pixel Fold? Well, I am willing to bet a lot of money on it that the minimum trade-in you will get for a 256GB Google Pixel Fold from Google directly will be £749. That's the price I think they'll go with because it's £1,000 less than the original retail price. And for that price, you can find a used one easily. And keep in mind, when you're trading in, companies just want to know, does the phone turn on? Is it working? Is the screen cracked? So as long as you find a Pixel Fold original that turns on, doesn't have a crack in it, you're golden. You will get the £749, could be even more than that they offer as trading. So there we have it. That's why I believe this is a sound investment. Hopefully you've enjoyed this Take Two. I enjoy making the Take Two series. And for those that have stayed to this point of the video and somehow don't know already, I have opened my own phone store. Yes, the Average Dad Tech Store is now open. Link is in description. So if you're looking for a new device, please check out me. Until next time,